July 10, 1499, the Portuguese explorer Nicolau Coelho returns to Lisbon after discovering the sea route to India as a companion of Vasco da Gama. Nicolau Coelho was an expert Portuguese navigator and explorer during the Age of Discovery. He participated in the discovery of the route to India by Vasco da Gama, where he commanded Barrio, the first caravel to return. July 10, 1533, Lady Jane Grey takes the throne of England. Lady Jane Grey, later known as Lady Jane Dudley, after her marriage, and as the 9 Days Queen, was a teenage English noblewoman who claimed the throne of England and Ireland from 10 July until July 19, 1553. Jane was the great-granddaughter of Henry VII through his younger daughter Mary. After Edward's death, Jane was proclaimed Queen on July 10, 1553, and awaited coronation in the Tower of London. Support for Mary grew quickly, and most of Jane's supporters abandoned her. The Privy Council of England suddenly changed sides, and proclaimed Mary as Queen on July 19, 1553, deposing Jane. Her primary supporter, her father-in-law, the Duke of Northumberland, was accused of treason, and executed less than a month later. Jane was held prisoner in the Tower, and was convicted of high treason in November 1553, which carried a sentence of death. Jane and her husband were executed on February 12, 1554. July 10, 1806, the Vellore Mutiny is the first instance of a mutiny by Indian sepoys against the British East India Company. The Vellore Mutiny, or Vellore Revolution, occurred on July 10, 1806 and was the first instance of a large-scale and violent mutiny by Indian sepoys against the East India Company, predating the Indian Rebellion of 1857 by half a century. The revolt, which took place in the South Indian city of Vellore, lasted one full day, during which mutineers seized the Vellore fort and killed or wounded 200 British troops. The mutiny was subdued by cavalry and artillery from Arcot. Total deaths amongst the mutineers were approximately 350, with summary executions of about 100 during the suppression of the outbreak, followed by the formal court-martial of smaller numbers. July 10, 1921. Belfast Bloody Sunday. 16 people are killed and 161 houses destroyed during rioting and gun battles in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Bloody Sunday, or Belfast's Bloody Sunday, was a day of violence in Belfast, Northern Ireland on July 10, 1921, during the Irish War of Independence. The violence erupted one day before a truce began, which ended the war in most of Ireland. With the truce nearing, police launched a raid against Republicans, but were ambushed by the Irish Republican Army, IRA, and an officer was killed. In retaliation, Protestant loyalists attacked Catholic enclaves in West Belfast, burning homes and businesses. This sparked rioting and gun battles between Protestants and Catholics, including paramilitaries. There were also gun battles between Republicans/nationalists and the police, and some police patrols fired indiscriminately at Catholic civilians. 17 people were killed or fatally wounded on 10th of July, and a further 3 were killed or fatally wounded before the truce. July to December 1921 began at noon on 11th of July. At least 100 people were wounded. About 200 houses were destroyed or badly damaged, most of them Catholic homes, leaving 1,000 people homeless. July 10, 1924, Pavo Nurmi won the 1,500 and 5,000 meters races with just an hour between them at the Paris Olympics. July 10, 1938, Howard Hughes begins a 91-hour airplane flight around the world that will set a new record. Howard Robart Hughes Jr. was an American business magnate, investor, record-setting pilot, engineer, film director, and philanthropist, known during his lifetime as one of the most influential and financially successful individuals in the world. He first became prominent as a film producer, and then as an important figure in the aviation industry. Later in life, he became known for his eccentric behavior and reclusive lifestyle, oddities that were caused in part by his worsening obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, chronic pain from a near-fatal plane crash, and increasing deafness. July 10, 1941, Jedwabne pogrom, massacre of Polish Jews living in and near the village of Jedwabne. The Jedwabne pogrom was a massacre of Polish Jews in the town of Jedwabne, German-occupied Poland, on July 10, 1941, during World War II and the early stages of the Holocaust. At least 340 men, women and children were murdered, some 300 of whom were locked in a barn and burned alive. About 40 ethnic Poles carried out the killing. Their ringleaders decided on it beforehand with Germany's Gestapo, SS Security Police or SS Intelligence, and they then cooperated with German military police. July 10, 1962. Telstar, the world's first communications satellite, is launched into orbit. July 10, 1991. The South African cricket team is readmitted into the International Cricket Council following the end of apartheid. Apartheid was a system of institutionalized racial oppression that existed in South Africa and Southwest Africa, now Namibia, from 1948 until the early 1990s. This system denied non-white South Africans basic human rights, such as the right to vote. Apartheid was characterized by an authoritarian political culture based on Baskap, bosshood or bossship, which ensured that South Africa was dominated politically, socially, and economically by the nation's minority white population. According to this system of social stratification, white citizens had the highest status, followed by Indians and coloreds, then black Africans. The economic legacy and social effects of apartheid continue to the present day. July 10, 1991. Boris Yeltsin takes office as the first elected president of Russia. He was a Russian and Soviet politician who served as the first president of Russia from 1991 to 1999. He was a member of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union from 1961 to 1990. He later stood as a political independent, during which time he was viewed as being ideologically aligned with liberalism and Russian nationalism. July 10, 1998. Catholic Church sexual abuse cases. The Diocese of Dallas agrees to pay $23.4 million to 9 former altar boys who claimed they were sexually abused by Rudolf Kos, a former priest. There have been many cases of sexual abuse of children by Catholic priests, nuns, popes, and other members of religious life. In the 20th and 21st centuries, the cases have involved many allegations, investigations, trials, convictions, acknowledgement and apologies by church authorities, and revelations about decades of instances of abuse and attempts by church officials to cover them up. The abused include mostly boys but also girls, some as young as 3 years old, with a majority between the ages of 11 and 14. Cases have also been brought against members of the Catholic hierarchy who covered up sex abuse allegations and moved abusive priests to other parishes, where abuse continued. July 10, 2002. At a Sotheby's auction, Peter Paul Rubens's painting The Massacre of the Innocents is sold for £49.5 million, $76.2 million, to Lord Thomson. The Massacre of the Innocents is the subject of 2 paintings by Peter Paul Rubens depicting the episode of the biblical massacre of the innocents of Bethlehem, as related in the Gospel of Matthew. The first, measuring 142 by 182 centimeters, was painted after his return to his native Antwerp in 1608, following 8 years spent in Italy. July 10, 2011. Russian cruise ship Bulgaria sinks in Volga near Sukiyevo, Tatarstan, causing 122 deaths. Bulgaria is a Class 785 OL-800 Russian river cruise ship, built in Komarno, Czechoslovakia, which operated in the Volga-Don basin. On 10 July 2011, Bulgaria sank in the Kuyabyshev Reservoir of the Volga River near Sukiyevo, Kemsko-Ustyinski District, Tatarstan, Russia, with 201 passengers and crew aboard when sailing from the town of Bulgar to the regional capital, Kazan. The catastrophe led to 122 confirmed deaths, bodies recovered and identified. The sinking of Bulgaria was Russia's worst maritime disaster since 1986, when the SS Admiral Nakhimov collided with a cargo ship and 423 people died. 10 July. Nikola Tesla Day. Nikola Tesla is portrayed in many forms of popular culture. The Serbian-American engineer has particularly been depicted in science fiction, a genre which is well suited to address his inventions, while often exaggerated. The fictionalized variants build mostly upon his own alleged claims or ideas. A popular, growing fixation among science fiction, comic book, and speculative history storytellers is to portray Tesla as a member of a secret society, along with other luminaries of science. The impacts of the technologies invented by Nikola Tesla are a recurring theme in the steampunk genre of alternate technology science fiction. If you enjoyed the video, then please subscribe the channel. It's a click for you, but a world for me. Thank you and have a nice day.